Hi, this is Lay Ean Eng from Go Kids, where we empower your kids to learn through fun, interactive, and educational activities. In the last segment that I did, I was talking about the various types of books that will be suitable for different age group of kids. In this week's segment, I would like to do an extension of the last one, whereby I'm going to talk about how do you really encourage your kids to enjoy what they're reading and appreciate what they are actually reading. This is a method that I use it with my kids. It's actually, I call it learning through association. So what is it? Let me give you an example. If your child is a basketball fan, for example, or enjoys basketball, playing basketball, he or she will be able to understand the concept of point system. So for example, one ball into the hoop is 2 points, or outside that line is a 3 points, where they call it a three-pointer. So when you try to teach them times table, for example, a 2 and 3 times table, we use the rule of the learning through association and tie it with the basketball concept. So if you use the 2 times table, they know that every ball in is 2 points and 2 balls is 4 points. That's how they understand the concept of the 2 times table, by associating with basketball. And it applies with the same for 3 times table. So this is how learning through association works. How does it apply to reading? So for example, I'm going to use a very, very common example is I use movies or TV program or video or audio, for example. And from there, I associated all these things to books. So let's say, for example, Harry Potter movie, for example. I mean, most of the kids would know, or at least would watch one of the 7. And by watching the movies, the kids could relate to the character, the theme, how they project certain scenes, and the conversation, the meaning of the conversation. So once they have that concept in their mind, and when you introduce the book to them, by understanding and relating and associating the movies, the theme, the concept, the conversation, the meaning behind all those, onto the books, it just makes more sense. And it just makes the reading more pleasurable, and the bigger wordings become easier to understand. Once your kids has experienced the understands the idea of the reading, they would start to really enjoy reading and appreciate what they are actually reading, not just the sake of reading for the sake of reading. So what they actually understand, what they are actually reading, and what to expect from the book and the wordings. Another example I would use is audio, which I use quite a lot. I would apply the same to Harry Potter as well. Once they start listening once, twice, 3 times, by the time 4 or 5th times come, they virtually could easily memorize certain part of it, exact wordings. So it sort of makes, you know, when the audio matches with the book, so it just makes the reading a little bit easier to relate to, because they already heard it through audio, how to pronounce and gauge the meaning of the wording, and now it's physically auditory in front of them. So the wording starts to make sense and become alive. So how they can interpret the books, the context. This is how I apply the learning through association technique. Now, apply to the older kids by associating the movie and the book. This is how I would do it. Talk to your kids about what do they think about the movie, what do they think about the book, what are the differences, which one is better. Get them to analyze, and there's no right or wrong, it's just how you want the kids to learn, to think and analyze what are the differences between both medium, and ask them questions. Which is better? Why? What do you think is better? What do you think the author is trying to say? And what do you think the director is trying to project? Are they in contrast, or are they consistent with what the book is trying to say? And is it being projected correctly on the screen? If it's so, which part? If it's not, why not? This concept, even though it's just asking questions, but it actually makes your child to think and make a response, which is very, very useful when your kid starts high school or senior high, when they have to analyze a little bit more for their English subject. So I hope you enjoyed this week's segment, and I'll see you next time.